Hey everybody. So I just got a comment a couple of weeks ago that I just saw that somebody made on a video that I did quite a while ago. I was in my other house in the backyard in the heat of summer. Oh, it was so nice to see that backyard again. But they were asking me, the title of the video was Your Reverse Hand is the Way Forward. Very clever way for me to title that, by the way. So I'm just going to give, oh, Lordy, I always do this. Anyway, it's like looking in a backwards mirror. It's kind of disconcerting. Anyway, so I am going to tell you how I arrive at the ascension cards. And I know that I've talked about this. This is kind of basic, and there might be something new in here for you, but even if you're a beginner, I think that this will be helpful to explain this. Okay, so when you are 44, your hand is from the pure spread. What's the pure spread? It's where everything is in order. It's where everything actually lives. So you see the Queen of Spades there in the very top middle position. That is Jupiter, which represents the guru, which represents like the way forward and our expansive potential. It is called the pinnacle position, and her living there is like a teaching in itself. Yeah, going the other direction, cosmic sunflower. Love that name. So it's going to the right and up. So like if you're looking in your hand, like say you're the 9 of hearts and you go, the Jack of clubs is my descent. It's my Mercury, Venus, Mars. It's my Jupiter card. So no, let's talk about the 9 of diamonds. Okay, so I'm the 7 of diamonds. The 9 of, so the 9 of hearts is one of my cards. So I would say, oh, this 9 of diamonds that I'm in love with, which really did happen for about 5 years. You can call it obsession. I was like, oh my God, he's the cat's ass. He knows everything. He's my spiritual teacher. Okay, descending Saturn is like, oh, he's my teacher. In the ascension spreads, I'm his teacher. I am his ascending Saturn, which would mean when he's reaching towards his potential, his self-actualization, his reaching out into the world, that 9 of hearts is the embodiment of unconditional love, which is like a perfect summation because he could be kind of catty. So it's like, I'm your teacher, so it's a really fun way to look at relationship and kind of reverse. Like people be like, well, I thought he was my Saturn. And it's like, well, that's why when I do a cosmic connection report or talk to people about this, I have always, even before I discovered this, I've always just said, Saturn is present in the relationship. I can't tell you what you're working on, which direction it's going, because every individual is different. Everyone, there's a soul that's in charge. These are just the boxes, but your soul is the one that's inhabiting that box for your reason. So anyway, so this is where everything is in order, and that Queen of Spades in that pinnacle position is teaching the lesson that the most important thing is self-mastery, that you are in a power position in your life. If you inhabit that Queen of Spades, you have a vista of everything. If you are willing to, and you have the most personal power, not power over, but you have the most personal power if you are willing to take responsibility for everything that you've created with your consciousness. That's the teaching of that card occupying that position. So each card occupies a planetary intersection. Like, let's just pick one. Okay, that's the Queen of Clubs. Okay, so that's where the 10 of Diamonds sits, right? I'm talking about the pure spread. I was intending to talk about ascension cards. But anyway, her teaching there is that she has access to everybody as that very center card. She's a networker. Man alive, if you know a Queen of Clubs, they know everybody that you need to have in your little book about who's the best butcher in town, who's the best butcher, like anyone uses a butcher anymore. But like, where can I get a good massage, and where can I get alternative remedies to blah, blah, blah. Do you know anybody who practices law for free? And I mean, that Queen of Clubs will be your networker. And so that's the Mother Mary position. So there's a teaching there with her occupying that. So anyway, when you are 44, your hand comes from this spread. Why do we go to this pure spread? I've always wondered about that. Hi, Joanne. You're Queen of Clubs, really? So I randomly pick your card. Don't you love it? Why do we go to the 44? Because of the magic circle. This is the order of the cards, the 45 movable positions. So the Queen of Hearts starts out in her position, and then one click away from her home position, she goes to this. Okay, let me sum it up this way. The circle of years. Okay, so if you're 44 and then at 45, you click to what we call this spread. We can say this is one click away from the pure spread, right? What is also one click away from the pure spread? When you are 1 year before 44. So 45 is one click away, the 45th, let's just call it spread or quadration, and the 43rd is one click away. So here we have the 10 of diamonds occupying this position. So in the magic circle, you can see that those cards are 2 away from each other. That pinnacle spread, you have 8 of diamonds, Queen of spades, 10 of diamonds. 2 away. Anyway, I know it gets a little mind-boggling, and I actually had to get all 45 spreads and lay them out on the floor and like really think through this to be sure of it, because like it's a totally new thing, and it's like I want to be as accurate as possible in case this is true. So this is what I've come up with, and I've been applying it, and it makes perfect sense. So if you want to see where your card sits in what I call the ascended mundane spread, the click in the other direction. Okay, so where does the Queen of Clubs sits? The question you ask is, where is my renter's home? Where is my renter's home? Who is renting the Queen of Clubs position? Well, the 10 of diamonds is renting it. Where do they live? They actually live over here by where the Queen of Spades sits in the other mundane spread. That's where the Queen of Clubs sits. So from that point of view, you would ask yourself, how am I working the Uranus-Mercury intersection? And this is what I call the vertical, is what I call the divine vibration. It's just something I've been playing with. I don't know if it fits. But anyway, I think it does. And the horizontal Uranus. So Mercury is truth. Uranus is like consciousness expanding. It's the rebel. It's like the Christ card. So are you a teacher? That's pretty much the question. A lot of Queen of Clubs that I know operate in a very tight, intense circle of their own making. They're very intense. They're very gifted. Are they teaching? Have they graduated to realizing that they are the teacher? I mean, they're the Mother Mary card, right? They have a lot to say. They have a lot to share. So that's one example of using the ascension method to kind of see, oh, what's my higher potential? This is not true, obviously, of the fixed and semi-fixed cards, what I call the circle of 7. They're just always where they are, right? But you have other cards. You have the Decan card. You have planetary rulers. You have personality cards at the very least. You know, Jack, King, and Queen. So the reverse hand. So let's go. So you can, oh, Queen of Clubs, go to this spread and say, what's my ascension hand? So this would be the ascending mundane. So you could go up from here. You could go, oh, 3 of spades is my moon card. And going up, my highest potential would be Queen of diamonds is my Mercury. Queen of spades is my Venus. So queen, queen, queen. Yes, in the 43rd year, there's this theme of triads. And I don't know why. Robert Camp one day just observed that with me. He goes, like he was doing, we were just having a conversation. And he was like, yeah, there's like 3 of those in the 43rd year. And it's like, all I can tell you is that 3 is a really sacred number, right? So if you've like the 8 of clubs, 888, there are tons of them in a row like that. And I think, I don't know, it's just something to ponder. Like, am I really working with this energy? For me, it would be queens, because as a 7 of diamonds, I'm down here. And then I've got queen, queen, queen descending on the ascending mundane chart? Am I working with female mastery? Am I working with being nurturing and giving and the mother archetype? And I would say definitely trying to grow into that. So the ascension cards, anything that is ascending, either looking at this spread or going back to, oh, where did my colored version go? I'm so scattered. Here it is. Here it is. The one we're used to, the life spread. Know that when you work with the reverse, if you're going in the other direction, you're asking yourself the question, how have I reached my potential in this way? How have I worked on reaching my potential in this way? And it tends to be more towards like, what gifts am I giving the world? How is my speech gifting the world? Mercury. How am I serving in the context of home and friendship? Venus. Mars, what is my passionate message to the world, or how do I inhabit my career in a way that is of service? You just sort of tack on the concept of service to each one of them, and it seems to really fit. The 45 plate is different from the 0 plate by 2 cards, right? And the Ace of Clubs and 2 of Hearts are swapped out too. So that has caused me a lot of confusion. And since I'm the 7 of Diamonds, I really care about that. So I just go back and forth. I'm like, okay, which is which for which year? Because you can actually count back from 43. Like if you want to say the 43rd plate is my 0 year. So I've done that. I've numbered my cards, which means that my ascension plate at 57 would actually be the 13th year. Is that insane or what? And you may be like, how can she do that? She can't do that. Okay, it 57 ascending, I'm sorry, it corresponds to age 31 and 76. Yeah, I wrote a bunch of stuff in here. From another point of view, I think it's age 13. How did I figure that out? Gosh, I can't remember that. Well, 31 and 13 are reversals, so maybe that's where I got that. Anyway, and we all work on all of them, right? So don't go into the binary. Don't. You can if you want to, but just be aware that we tend to go into sort of a black and white. That's just what we do as humans. That's what the mind does. That's what the ego wants to do is, am I doing it right? Am I working on my descending or my ascending? And it's like, we're all working on all of them all of the time. Okay, I'm going to share one more principle with you before I go. I just wanted to make a quick touch-in video because someone made a request and I was like, oh, how exciting. I want to show the universe I respond to requests to do videos about certain things. So the other thing I'm going to talk about is how they actually have a relationship with each other. So if you're the one person still watching, and I've noticed the view counter is not always accurate. So if you're watching and you want me to use your card as an example, please tell me what it is. Otherwise, I'll just choose a random example. But you can look at like the Mars cards, for example, the descending Mars and the ascending Mars. And you can turn it into, thank you, Cosmic Sunflower, the 2 of Spades. Let's look at which card do you want me to look at? I kind of got a hit to look at your Venus card. And we could say your task in relationship. That's one way of framing it, right? Or your personality in relationship, how you are in friendship. You want me to look at Saturn? Okay. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. So in the descending chart, it would be the 10 of clubs. And Saturn would be, I would say this to you, 2 of spades. You know, I made an entire video on the 2 of spades a couple months ago because they crossed my path in a really dynamic way. And I got tons of insights about them. And they're kind of a rare card. So I was like, oh my God, I have to share these downloads. And I could be wrong because I don't know many of them. But it's like, tell me what you think. Go watch that and tell me what you think. But their calling is, which is how I would phrase Saturn, their calling is to recognize their incredible expertise in multiplicity of areas. They could do anything. They're a storehouse of knowledge and information. They could be a paradigm shifter, a writer, a teacher. They have so much to give, and they tend to plug themselves into an organization, a relationship, Marriage works out great for them because Queen of Hearts is Jupiter for them. So partnership is just, oh, they're just like home in partnership. But there's a danger of kind of disappearing in that because they've got so much to say to the world and so much to give. I mean, you jump up here to the crown line, right? So Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, big energies up here. So then I would look at your ascending Saturn, which would be Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, 2 of clubs, right? You would say, I'm Saturn to the 2 of clubs. Well, the 2 of clubs is Saturn to you. Your ascending 2 of clubs is clear communication and the art of conversation. I know that that could just mean so many different things. It's the witty, lighthearted conversationalist. It's also kind of a self-critical energy. It's also highlighting the way you talk to yourself. You could inform the world about this internal primary conversation because as a 2 of spades, your task is to become your best friend. It's about partnership and friendship. Are you your own best friend? Have you learned to listen and honor what's there? And 2 of spades generally kind of have a difficulty figuring out what's going on here. That might not be true for you, but it tends to be difficult for 2 of spades to just really, really deeply listen to themselves, to find out like what's going on in there, what's wrong, what do you need, what do you want, what do you think, what are you not okay with? They tend to just be like, just kind of go along. So this 2 of clubs really speaks to self-inspection. And as a Saturn card, it's like a calling out into the world that you could take that gift into your conversations to help other people become self-aware, to become aware of their own internal conversation. So how can you connect the 10 of clubs and the 2 of clubs? That's what I'm getting to. How do they inform each other? Writing community organizations. I became a great conversationalist only after 22. 22, really? 2. I love that. So the descending 10 of clubs is like working through your fears and your issues with becoming visible, becoming special, a specialist, someone with something to say, having the courage to come across as an expert in something, someone who knows something, and then dealing with that issue. And also the tendency for like 10 of clubs can just be a lot of things in your head. Like I worry, I think, I carry the burdens of the world. I mean, the 10 of clubs can be that too. Or it can be the one functional person in a really dysfunctional situation. That's another way that card tends to show up. So like, a child of an alcoholic or, the eldest child that's like really functional or the one adult that is like trying to get everyone to communicate in the family. I mean, a lot of different dynamics. But anyway, how does that experience get plugged into and actualized as the 2 of clubs? So what you're saying is such a beautiful teaching and a fit for anybody who watches this video. So this always happens when I do a video. The right people always show up for whatever wants to be presented. So anyway, if you have any other questions or comments, I cherish and value them. Pull out your club and talk to me, girl. Otherwise, I'm going to close. I'm just going to pause a beat and wait for the video to catch up while I put this away. Thank you so much for joining. This was really fun, as usual. Oh, do we have someone else who just joined? See, that view counter is just hell on my ego. I have to just, if I could just erase that darn thing, I would. Oh, you're so welcome. You are so very welcome. Okay. Have a good day, everybody. Take care. Two legs, 2 people watching, 2 of spades, 22. I love this.